Hello. I'm so happy to be back here again today. It's 3 o'clock Pacific time on Thursday. Time for another episode of Empowered Whole Being TV, EWB TV. Today I want to begin to just explore and share some thoughts on the unfolding process of awakening. I thought that would be a fun topic. In all of my years of doing transformational coaching for intuitive empaths, this is a topic that is often touched upon, and it's something that in my own journey in the early stages, there was such a drive, like to rush to get somewhere, to obtain some level of something. And because we don't know what we don't know, it was never really clear what that was that I was, pardon me a second, I want to fix that, seeking to obtain. And now that I have a little more insight, especially since I've done so much clearing work in the last few years, and just this last Saturday, I was able to release another whole, what I call a module of the blocking research program. And with that release, so much more new clarity has become available. So let's just unpack this a little bit. Why is it that there is this experience when we, in our human consciousness, first become aware that there's something more to us, that there's more than just a human story. We don't know what it is. I mean, we have definitions from different groups, and but it's very much it can be confusing. Let's just put it that way. And through my studies of quantum physics, through the lens of metaphysics, not as a scientist, someone who appreciates science and is very interested in science and what makes things tick on a quantum level. However, I am first and foremost a metaphysicist, an individual who studies the philosophy and science of being. And being an intuitive empath, first and foremost, that's my that's the context from within I view and research and explore the nature of our consciousness. So in the early stages of awakening, there isn't a lot of clarity of who we are and how everything fits together. And this is because we're awakening from within the duality paradigm based upon Newtonian physics, based upon the materialism of the classical physics, that everything is separate, can be separated and compartmentalized and identified and labeled as a single little part standing alone, which quantum physics came along and completely blew that out of the water, because that's not how it is. Everything is interconnected, everything's entangled, and everything's influenced by the entanglement, the observer effect. And when the whole idea of electron swapping and all of this sort of thing happened, Einstein was adamantly against that whole concept, because that would mean that the information being shared between electrons was happening faster than the speed of light. And his premise was that that was the fastest measurement. But it's not. It is instantaneous because there is entanglement. So we're awakening from this duality construct paradigm where there's an external, perceived, external and internal, and the physical world, which I call the sim world, because we are avatars in a simulated world in this human experience. And so we're seeking to somehow reconnect to something bigger than our human self. That's the duality construct. Something external, something outside of me is the answer. So, yeah, that's going to happen at first. It happened with my journey until I began to study quantum physics. But even after all, studying it for over 12 years now, for about 12 years, I should say, it wasn't until I just released this last module that a whole nother barrier of blocking programming and filters and such were removed, that I began to experience not an intellectual concept, but an experiential knowing of the singularity paradigm, the oneness of all, and really feeling what that feels like. So I wanted to talk about the importance of compassion on our journeys of awakening to who we really are, moving out of the duality paradigm into the singularity paradigm. It's an unfolding process, and each step of the way is important to the process. Once an individual chooses or feels so strongly compelled to seek clarity about who they actually are, that there's something more to them than their physical self and story, I call that metaphorical switch, flipping from research mode to release mode. When that happens, everything that's experienced is guiding that individual to understand that ultimately they are the creator of all of their experiences. When they were in research mode, yeah, there was a lot of intense trauma. There was, very likely be my family of my avatar growing up. There was physical abuse, there was emotional abuse, there was some scary situations, there was food scarcity, there was lots of things. A lot of trauma was created, sexual violation, all kinds of stuff. When the switch flipped, though, to release mode, I began to view and was guided step by step through this unfolding process. I began to understand and see the bigger picture of creation of all of it and why things are the way they are. Now, we don't have the human experience. We don't know what we don't know, right? How can we? And sometimes something is so big, like the acceptance of the accountability for being the creator of all things. That's pretty big. It's not going to be there 0 to 60. This is a step-by-step process. And I want to just really emphasize the importance of allowing the unfolding to happen, to embrace it, to honor it, to feel compassion for the events that happened in life prior to the awakening experience, knowing that they were all orchestrated through the quantum reality of energy creating events, feelings being transmitted from our unconscious blocking program, create the events first. And then the avatar, because of those events, not knowing that they were being created through their own research process, then can feel in this current incarnation, can feel the energy of that research. And what I've discovered is that at the very base of all so-called feeling bad feelings, which are clockwise spin energy, the very base of that is this one single blocking belief. And from this single blocking belief and its energy, all other contracted, quote unquote, feeling bad feelings are derived. And that baseline blocking belief is the experience, the feeling experience of expectation of any moment, pending death, annihilation from an external source, from something outside. And that's partly that feeling of not being safe is what drives all of our unconscious behavioral choices. It's at the base of all addiction. And it's also what drives people on their journey to try to get somewhere faster. This is something that I've said in the past and something I've heard from my clients. I thought I would be further along than I am right now. I still don't understand why I am dealing with this still. That's because the blocking program has multiple modules. It's like Carl Jung talked about peeling the layers of the onion. It's a step-by-step unfolding process to support the avatar, the human third and fourth dimension body combination, to ease them into the infinite experience of taking ownership of who they are as creator by how they feel. You can't go 0 to 60. Every step of the way, there is support and guidance. Absolutely. When I first had my big tap on the shoulder moment, it was during the harmonic convergence in 1987. Had full-on visions, all kinds of cool stuff. Blew. I was in tears just by the enormity of the love. Because I saw everything through duality, paradigm, and perspective. It didn't belong to my avatar. She wasn't worthy. Was her belief at the time. She didn't see that on a quantum level that she already was all of that. That's the essence of us, as subatomic and even smaller. So the first thing my avatar wanted to know is, okay, now what? Who do I go to? Is there a master, a guru, a teacher? Who do I go to? And during meditation, I was so clearly guided. No. There are many. You will be guided to exactly what you need when you need it. And I have been, and I always have been. And if I become confused or lost, I always ask during meditation, show me what's next. What's next for my highest and greatest good? What's next? And it's always there. It's the allowing, the consenting to receive the guidance, because it's right there waiting. And so I was told, no, not a single master or person or pathway. Multiple information is going to come from multiple places. It may be one paragraph in a book. It may be something someone says. But it's all coming because the external, so-called external world and this here sim world is not separate. When we speak to someone, the words they speak back, there is a consensual of our unity consciousness to message information. So if we're paying attention and really being present without judgment, with compassion, we'll see and hear and experience the guidance as is provided. And if we miss it the first time, that's okay, because it'll come back around until we do see it, feel it, get it, and move us forward. So that's it. I just wanted to tap in real quick today and just share a little bit about the unfolding process and encourage all who happen to watch this little short video to feel compassion for the process and for themselves while experiencing the process. It's not a race. And it's not the same for everyone. Everyone has their own unique journey, and it's important to honor that. Just because one avatar has an awareness doesn't mean that there's someone in their family or circle of friends that has to be the same. Maybe that other person, not maybe, that other person or individual has their own journey, their own unique unfolding process. So if we can, well, here's an action step, something we can all do together, and that is to honor the uniqueness of the journey of each of us, knowing that collectively we make up the unity consciousness, and that everyone is being supported exactly as they need to be supported in that process, as they need it. And if you get stuck in meditation, just ask, show me what's next. I promise you, it'll come. You'll know. You'll be guided. Something will pop right in and you'll know. So most importantly, on the journey of awakening to who we really are, practice compassion, kindness, and tolerance. Be willing to be accepting of that you're more than you think you are. Be willing to embrace the power of you as creator, because that is our quantum reality. That's how quantum, the singularity paradigm actually works. That nothing is solid, that everything is energy and movement. Movement, spinning, either clockwise or counterclockwise. So until next week, have so much fun, find your joy, self-nurture, celebrate you, because you are already quantum consciousness. Until then, so much joy to you.